This is Cool Garden Things, and right now we're going to be talking about preparing healthy soil for your garden. Now, if you're getting ready to begin your new garden venture, you need to first prepare your soil to properly house the plants you plan to grow. The best thing you can do in the soil preparation process is to reach the perfect mixture of sand, silt, and clay. Preferably, there should be 40% sand, 40% silt, and 20% clay. Now, there are several tests used by experienced gardeners to tell whether the soil has a good composition or not. Now, first, you can compress it in your hand. If it doesn't hold its shape and crumbles without any outside force, chances are your sand ratio is probably a little bit too high. Now, if you poke the compressed ball with your finger and it doesn't fall apart easily, your soil most likely contains too much clay. Now, if you're still not sure about the content of your soil, you can separate each ingredient by using this simple method. Put a cup or two of dirt into a jar of water. Shake the water up until the soil is suspended. Then let it set until you see it separate into 3 distinct separate layers. The top layer is clay, the next is silt, and on the bottom is sand. You should be able to judge the presence of each component within your dirt and act accordingly. So now that you've analyzed the content of your soil, if you decide that it's low on a certain ingredient, then you should definitely do something to fix it. If you are dealing with too much silt or sand, it's best to add some peat moss or compost to your mixture. Now, if you've got too much clay, add a mixture of peat moss and sand. The peat moss, when moistens, helps the new ingredient to infiltrate the mixture better. Now, if you can't seem to attain a proper mixture, just head down to your local gardening store and chances are they can really help you out. You should be able to find the right kind of product to aid you in balancing this. Next, the water content of your soil is another important thing to consider when preparing your garden. Now, if your garden is at the bottom of an incline, chances are high that it's going to absorb too much water and may drown out the plants. So if this is the case, you should simply elevate your garden a few inches. 4 or 5 was usually a good one. And make that higher than the rest of the ground. This allows for more drainage and less saturation. Also, adding nutrients to your soil is a vital part of the process. As most urban soils we found have little to no nutrients left in them at this time in our history. So 1 to 2 weeks prior to planting, you should add a decent amount of fertilizer to your garden. Mix it in really well and let it set for a couple of days. Now, once you've done this, your soil will be completely ready for whatever seeds you choose to plant in it. Now, once your seeds are planted, you still want to pay regular attention to the soil because during the first few weeks, the seeds are using up all the nutrients around them to sprout and to turn into real plants. And if they run out of food, how are they supposed to grow? So about a week after planting, you should add the same amount of fertilizer that you added before. Now, after this, you can continue to use fertilizer, but not as often. You can also use your compost if you started a compost pile. Now, if you add in a tiny bit every couple of weeks, then that's usually plenty to keep your garden thriving and producing a healthy plant. So basically, the entire process of soil care can be compressed into a few simple steps. Ensure the makeup of the soil is a good mixture. Make sure you have proper drainage. Add fertilizer before and after planting, then add fertilizer regularly after that. And if you follow these simple steps, you'll have a plethora of healthy plants in no time at all. So thanks for tuning in, and happy gardening.